All right, Dustin. So another company that we talk about a ton, and this is actually some real news. We have action. We have things that are happening with Fanatics.
Is it news? I don't know. I feel like, again, this is one I feel like
they're in testing. That's news. That's news.
Yeah,
That's news.
We've been saying they're close for like a year. I swear, you do this in April of 2022. You're probably like, Fanatics is going to launch soon. Maybe not. Maybe not a year ago, but like, yes, they're Fanatics Sportsbook apparently beta testing in Ohio and Tennessee at a recent event. They also said they're going to be in 12 states, I believe, by NFL season. I don't know. It's April. It's getting a little late to be in 12 states, but maybe it's possible. I presume they're not blowing smoke up all our asses, but yeah, like, so I guess we're going to get Fanatics by NFL season, see what this database is worth. We've been talking this up for a long time, and there's a minimum amount of ways that things can get disrupted in the U.S. market, and Fanatics is one of the arguably one of the players who can disrupt. I'm a seller that they're going to come in instantly and disrupt, but they obviously believe they can, and that their database of users is going to start betting on sports pretty quickly. So it'll be interesting to see. They've obviously put a bunch of resources, time, and effort into this. They have the war chest to do it, and it'll be really, once they actually get live for real in these states, and apparently another 10 more by the NFL season, then we have a real comp for us to look at and see, is this moving the needle, and are they going to, can they break into that top 3-4 in short order, or are they going to be on that lower Barstool, points bet? I don't know who else is in that tier. Eric,
Bet Rivers,
Bet Rivers, yeah. Like, are they in that 4 to 5% share? And how does that affect everyone else? Are they taking share? Are they growing the market? There's a lot to come out of this.
We also have some news coming out about Better, which is not a company we spent a ton of time here on the podcast talking about, but they did put out a press release that they have come to an agreement with some new spokespeople.
Yeah, I take this. We also did a story. Pat Evans did a nice story talking to the CEO of Better. I think I've said this on this. I'm not sure what Better's doing. Like, I don't know that any of this is going to turn into the path of gold. I could be very wrong, but
you read the press release, Dustin, and you wonder if they really get it, because they're touting that the bulk of the audience is 21 to 34 years old. It's like, hey, we have all the poor people. Like, like we have all the poor sports bettors. It's like, no, like that's not something to advertise. Like, we have all the people who just now getting started in their career. So they have very little expendable income. Like, no, disposable income. Like, no, that's not what you want to be telling people, but that's what's like touted in this press release.
Yeah. Anyway, the news is that a couple twins, Haley and Hannah Cavender, who play for Miami, are not going to school anymore, for getting their last year of college to go, and they will do a podcast doing content with Better. Again, only live in Ohio still, Eric, right?
Yeah, beta testing in 2 other states, but live in Ohio.
Only really live, yeah. But and it's interesting, and it's certainly different. It's a different audience. It's we always lament that female audience, women's sports fans, and women's sports are not really are taken as seriously. We saw obviously a moment with the NCAA tournament this year with just unprecedented interest. So it's interesting with that backdrop of saying, oh, we're concentrating on women's sports a little bit more and do all of that. But does this move the needle in terms of like establishing a brand? You already have, in theory, one of the best influences you have in Jake Paul. And am I crazy? I never see Jake Paul doing anything with Better. Like, and maybe he's keeping his powder dry until they're in more states. But like, yeah. If your value is supposed to be tied up in the product, which is micro betting, this different thing, and then you have this great influencer who should be able to drive some amount of interest, and it's not happening. And we've been told wait and see. I don't know. Like, this again, interesting, but like, is this the path to Better again breaking into that? Right now, Better is not even a rounding error in Ohio. Like, they're not even close to being in that second tier that we talked about, let alone a third tier. They're in some other tier that barely even registers. So is any of this going to move the needle? I don't know. Like, I they have to do something that's a little different. It's maybe I'm just too curmudgeonly, but I just don't see where this is all going that's going to lead to Better becoming anything more than it is. It needs Jake Paul out there touting it every day, and instead he's going to be touting another and preparing for another B League fight that is garbage, that people will pay pay-per-view money for, I presume. But like, he's not like he's involved, but he's not like, I don't see any evidence that he's involved. So that's the part that makes me scratch my head when I say, what is Better doing if they have Jake Paul on their side and not much is coming of that.
So, Eric, we look at this, and in this press release, and again, like I said, you have to say something. You have to say some things that make you seem big. And it says that Better has already generated over 900 million impressions and 50 million engagements across its social channels. Cool. I mean, like, cool, I guess. If that's what you're bragging about, I mean, cool. But it's like, that's nothing to do with like how many customers they got or whatever, market share, nothing. It's just, hey, we have a lot of social impressions.
They talk a lot about how famous their influencers are too, which, great, cool.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I know. I'm just like, all right. I mean, that's fine, I suppose.
I will say,
but I don't really know.
Their product is good. It's the user interface, at least, is enjoyable to use. I'm not convinced that micro betting alone is enough to sustain a business in this climate. I think I'll have to wait and see what it looks like when they build out a more traditional product. But even with Jake Paul, I guess I'm just skeptical about this sort of, business model, we'll call it, this path they're choosing to go influencer heavy. They've mentioned the name Barstool, so I don't feel like it's an unfair comparison. We haven't seen this work with Barstool. Dave Portnoy is arguably over involved with the sports book. He's everywhere that you see Barstool Sportsbook, and they have yet to really turn that into a meaningful impact in the States. So I'm just, until I see it happen, I'm just skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, Eric, to kind of, again, not to pile on, but I mean, outside of just Portnoy himself, I mean, all of the main characters, if you will, all of the principal guys in the various departments and stuff at Barstool all have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of social media followers. So, I mean, they all have audience. They all have what Better is touting here. And like you said, it hasn't really shown up for them. So we will kind of see how that all plays out. Again, DustinTouts.com is going to prove that you don't have to have just a million, millions and millions of followers in order to make a bunch of money in this. So, Dustin, same game parlay touts, right?
You got it. It's coming.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Make Infinity money.